Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of the Cupcast. If you missed the first episode, hey there, my name is Will. Hope you're doing well. And all summer long, I'm going to be bringing you content around the World Cup. In episode 2, which I released yesterday, I broke down the teams and nations competing in groups A through D. And on today's episode, we're going to take a look at groups E, F, G, and H. So, without further ado, let's just get into today's video. Alright, kicking things off for us today in Group E is Germany. Germany won the 2014 World Cup. That's the first World Cup I can remember watching. They beat Argentina 1-0 in that final in Brazil in extra time, thanks to a Mario Götze winner in the 113th minute. But since then, it's gone downhill for the Germans in the World Cup. Back-to-back group stage exits in Qatar and in Russia in 2018 and 2022. They'll be looking to make it back to the knockout stages for the first time since their triumph in Brazil. They are led by manager Julian Nagelsmann, who is well known in Germany. Fantastic manager, former Bayern manager, has won the Bundesliga, although it's hard not to with Bayern, but still he's won the Bundesliga. Now with the German national team, looking to get them back in the knockout stages for the first time since 2014. All right, next up, we have our first debut nation in the tournament, and that would be Curacao. If you know anything about the Little League World Series, which is a baseball competition played in America, Curacao is always competitive in that, but this summer, they're going to be headed to the States for soccer, the World Cup. Their first ever appearance, like I said. They're ranked 83rd in the world. The lowest rated team in Group E, but they're gonna put up a fight. You know, they've qualified, so there's that. We'll see what they can do. I know absolutely nothing about the Curacao national side, but I'm excited to watch them play. It should be fun. The Ivory Coast are back for the 4th time in the nation's history, and they are the 3rd team in Group E. They did miss the 2018 and 22 World Cup, but they do benefit from the expanded format, and they got in 2026 for this summer. They won AFCON back in 2023. If you remember, Sebastian Haller scored the game winner in that tournament after he had just beaten cancer. It was kind of crazy. But they do have some experience on the international stage. Sebastian Haller is not with them in this tournament, but they do have wonder kid Jan Diamonde. And also, they've got a guy, Yoann Bonney, who I don't know how good he is in real life, but in my FIFA career mode with Tottenham, he was like insane. So I'm rooting for the Ivory Coast because of that. All right, and we're wrapping up Group E with Ecuador. Ecuador's making its 5th appearance in the FIFA World Cup. They've only gotten out of the group stage on one prior occasion. That was back in 2006. But a favorable draw in Group E could see them advance. They are led by Pinheiro Hincapié, the Arsenal defender. It's a good Ecuador side. I think, they can do something, especially with, the 3rd place teams qualifying. I think they could make it out of the group for the 2nd time. All right, and kicking things off in Group F with the Netherlands. Arguably the greatest team to never win the World Cup. It seems to me like they're always competing. They always got a good roster. They always got a star or multiple stars, but they never win. Making their 11th appearance. They're coming off a quarterfinal exit to Argentina, the eventual winners of the last tournament in 2022. And if you look at their roster, it is scary. But a lot of questions to be asked about the side, especially with, the manager. Doesn't seem like many people like Ronald Koeman. I don't know what's going to happen. But is this the year the Dutch finally break the curse? Only time will tell. Konnichiwa. Japan is the 2nd team in Group F, making their 8th appearance in the competition. They made it as far as the round of 16 in Qatar before being knocked out by Croatia on penalties. Their squad has the likes of Takehiro Tomiyasu. They've got Takefusa Kubo. They've got Daichi Kamada, who just won the Conference League with Crystal Palace. But they are missing Matoma and Minimono. So 2 of their better forwards are not on the plane this summer due to injury. Unfortunate for them. But Japan, they always put up a fight in the World Cup. If you remember in 2018 in Russia, they were beating Belgium 2-0 before just an insane comeback by them, and Belgium ended up winning it at the death. And then they were very much in that game against Croatia, knocked out on penalties, which people consider a coin flip. I don't, but whatever. So Japan, in my opinion, they are one of the, if not the best dark horse in the tournament. We'll see what they can do. Sweden returns to the World Cup, making their 13th appearance. Back in 1994, when the World Cup was last held in the United States, they were able to finish third. Very good for them. They did miss the last World Cup in Qatar. However, they hired Graham Potter as their national team manager. They did not win a game in qualifying, but they qualified thanks to the Nations League spot through the playoffs. They beat, I believe it was Poland, thanks to a Victor Gyökeres goal in the 88th minute to send them to the United States this summer. So Sweden, they've got two great forwards. They've got Gyökeres and they've got Alexander Isak. And they've got a talented team. I don't know if they're good enough to make it out of this group. It's a tough group for them. Unfortunate draw, but we will see. They did make it to the quarterfinals back in 2018 in Russia, where they lost to England. And to finish things out in Group F, we have Tunisia. Tunisia is making its third consecutive appearance at the World Cup and its seventh overall. They were knocked out in the group stage in Qatar in 2022, but they did beat the eventual runner-ups, France, in that final game there. And they were knocked out in AFCON in the round of 16 this winter. Kind of disappointing for them. They'll be looking to make it a little bit further, make it back to the round of 16, or make it to the round of 16 in the World Cup this summer. The party rolling with Group G, starting things off with Belgium. In their first World Cup post-Golden Generation, they're coming off a shock group stage exit in 2022. But they are bringing the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Romelu Lukaku with them to the United States this summer. We'll see if they can get back to the knockout stage. They did finish in third place in 2018. A lot of people are surprised that when they had prime Hazard, prime KDB, and prime Lukaku, and they also had two former Tottenham defenders, and Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld, they could not win anything. They couldn't even win the Euros. So unfortunate for Belgium. But in the post-Golden Generation, they've still got a lot of talent. They kind of have Jeremy Doku now as that new star on that wing. So we'll see what they can do this summer. Next up, we have Egypt, led by Mohamed Salah. Egypt returns to their fourth World Cup, having not won a game in their previous three contests. They're hoping to change that this summer. They did not qualify for Qatar in 2022. Iran is back in the World Cup after they were left heartbroken in Qatar after they lost to the United States 1-0 in the last group stage game that knocked them out of the tournament. It's their seventh appearance in a World Cup, and they have never made it out of the group stage. So is this the first time they can do that? They're led by their forward and their star, Mehdi Taremi, in his likely final World Cup. And wrapping things up in Group G with New Zealand making their third appearance. New Zealand are the lowest ranked team in the entire tournament, and it is not going very well for them as they're dealing with preparations. They just got battered 4-0 by Haiti. Things could get ugly for them this summer. But do the Kiwis have a little bit of magic up their sleeve? We shall see. All right, and finishing out today's video with a look into Group H. And we're going to kick things off with the favorites of the entire competition, España. Spain starts things off in Group H. Their star-studded roster is led by the likes of Lamine Yamal. Spain's making its 16th appearance in the FIFA World Cup. They won the European Championships back in 2024, defeating England. And they're coming off a round of 16 exit in Qatar in 2022. But they are the second-ranked team in the entire world, according to the FIFA coefficient rankings. I think they should be first, but whatever. And they're arguably, if not the favorites. I think they have the best odds of anyone this summer. Cape Verde makes their debut in the World Cup. They qualified easily, topping their group in the qualifiers in CAF. They only lost one game in the entire qualification process, so shout out to them. I don't know much about their side, but their captain, Ryan Mendez, I believe is how you say his name, he scored 22 goals in 97 caps for them. If you play 97 caps, if you have 97 caps with your national team, I think that already cements you as a legend. If you're their leading goal scorer and you have 22 goals, that's also very good. And if you help your nation qualify for its first ever World Cup, they should build him a statue outside the Capitol at that point. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Next up, we have Saudi Arabia making its 7th appearance in the World Cup. They did qualify for the knockout stages back in 1994. Like I mentioned earlier, that's the last time the tournament was held in the United States, but they have never made it back since then. They did beat Argentina to kick things off in the 2022, but they ended up losing their next 2 group stage games and were knocked out in the group stage. But who knows? Maybe they can make a little bit of a run and get back to the knockout stages for the 2nd time ever. And we're going to close things out today with Uruguay. The 2-time champions are making their 15th appearance in the tournament. It's kind of funny. If you look at Uruguay, the first ever FIFA World Cup was held in Uruguay and they won it. And then they took a little break from participating, and then they played in their 2nd World Cup and they won that one. So in their first 2 World Cups, they won them both. You can't start any better than that. But they haven't won since. Is this the year they get back to the winning ways? I don't think so. But who knows? They don't have Luis Suarez, if you might remember. He retired from the national side, but he's still playing in the MLS with Leo Messi down in Inter Miami. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of the Cupcast. I promise, guys, I'm going to get into the fun stuff, the actual commentary, the actual analysis pretty soon. We've just got one more of these videos before I start pumping out the other ones. That video, we're going to break down the final 4 groups. I'll put that out sometime tomorrow. And then I'll probably take a day off and we'll go back to daily uploads after that. But if you're liking the series so far, if you're liking the content we're putting out, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Share this with your friends. Smash that like button. Leave a comment down below if you got any video ideas, video suggestions, anything you want to see. Maybe you don't like the format we're doing so far. You want to see some changes. Any feedback is appreciated. But that'll do it for me today. I'm Will. We are just a few days away from the World Cup. I hope you are getting as excited as I am. Let's do this thing.